Welcome to the Quarantine Star Mount Zion.
So I want to welcome everybody to this conversation today. I have with me Mason Sims, longtime member of Mount Zion and proud graduate of Southern Wesleyan. And today we have him on. He's going to share a little bit about what he's been doing in our ministry, where we paired some adults with children and youth to give some discipleship and guidance to them. So Mason, thanks for agreeing to do this today.
Yeah, happy to be on here.
So back before all the COVID-19 stuff started, I had gone through with our interns, Zechariah, and also Kyle Cook McCrary at that time before he graduated, and kind of paired different adults in the church with children and youth to pray with each other, pray for each other, kind of check in on each other and encourage one another. And so our older son, Isaac, had the great fortune of getting paired with you, and you have just done a wonderful job checking in on him throughout this COVID season. And so I thought it might be helpful for others who might not know about that program, or for others who are part of it and are thinking about how can I connect with my child or youth who I've been paired with. If you might just share a little bit about kind of how you've gone about that, especially during the season that we're in.
Okay, well, sure. So originally when we started, it was going to be before the church service started, maybe like about 30 minutes prior to that. So when COVID-19 came about, you let me know that your son Isaac was the one I had the privilege to be paired with. So when we weren't meeting in person, we agreed to do calls maybe like once every Sunday or every other Sunday, about like later afternoon, early evening, just to give you and Isaac a call just to check in to see how things were and if he had any prayer requests and for the new week and just things like that. And he would also ask me too if I had any prayer requests.
Mm-hmm. So for anybody out there, Mason's been awesome about checking in just about every week and initiating that. And I know Isaac really looks forward to those phone calls. I know he's had some chances. Isaac, being 7 years old, has had some chances, I think, a few times to pray with you over the phone where he's prayed, and there have been a few times where you've prayed as well. I was curious, is there anything, and maybe particularly in this time when we haven't seen each other face to face quite as much, is there anything that's been particularly meaningful for you as far as those weekly or every other week conversations and praying with him?
Well, I haven't really done this before, like mentored a younger kid in our church. So I felt like it was really rewarding to be able to do this since March when we started up this program. So, and it was good to know that he looked forward to those calls, and I enjoyed speaking with him. And it's nice of him too to mail in some drawings he had for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
he sent you a few pictures.
Yeah, so it's been rewarding. I'm glad even though we weren't meeting in person, we're still able to talk on the phone at least once or every other week.
Yeah. Well, I know he enjoyed getting to see you this past Sunday, and he does pray for you every night, when he lies down and says his prayers before bed. I was curious if you might share. I know we were able to meet face to face once, where I think we went over to the trails at SWU and just kind of did a walk together, and he was real excited about that. So he's actually been begging me, and this is a reminder that he wants me to mention to you that we need to do that again sometime. So
yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, that was fun when we did that. I think it was about a month or two ago. Yeah, so that'd be good. I'd like to do that again.
So for any folks who are looking, maybe you've been paired with a child or youth in the church, or maybe you're a parent of a child or youth who's been paired with somebody else. Those are just some ideas. There's certainly some outdoor things that families can do, with that mentor. outside, and phone calls are certainly a good way to stay connected. Cards, notes, those kinds of things. Is there anything else about this experience that you'd like to share with that relationship that y'all have been building and praying for one another?
Well, I just like to say, it was good to hear that, I guess like the 30-minute conversations we have every other Sunday. Isaac looks forward to it, so that was definitely something good to hear. I'm enjoying getting to talk with him and stuff. And so I'm looking forward to meeting him in person now that we're starting to go to the Central United Methodist for a few weeks.
Yeah. And I would encourage anybody, if you have been paired with somebody, with a child or a youth, to make a point now that we can get together face to face some, and ask, what can I pray for this week, and even maybe have a short prayer together before the start of the service. Now, I know you and I have gone on some runs here recently during the season, and one of the things that you shared with me was a passion for a ministry that helps out people who are in prison. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity. I thought that was a wonderful ministry, and it might be good to give an audience to that and to hear a little bit more about that. So would you share a little bit about that ministry that you shared with me about?
Okay. So before me and my family moved back to 6 Mile around 2010, we attended a small Methodist church over on Highway 101 in Greer, South Carolina. It's called Fuse Chapel United Methodist. So for the few years that we attended there, they had this program, or they participated in this program. It's called Kairos, and that's it's a prison ministry. Around like late October, early November, you send in baked goods to the state prisons around the area. And it's kind of hesitant at first. I guess just growing up, I always thought prisoners they kind of brought this on themselves. If they you can't do the time, don't do the crime sort of thing. But so we did that for a few years, sending them the goods and stuff. And the guy who's in charge of the program there, his name was Bill Cooner, Fuse Chapel, and I didn't understand what he said. But he said, Mason, if you visit a prison, these are some of the nicest people you'll meet, and you really couldn't really tell that they were in prison or they did crimes to get in there. Mm-hmm. Until recently, probably back in 2019, someone who's close to me, he was convicted of a crime that he did not do. So he was sentenced to a few years. And probably last summer, my family and I visited him. He's in the Allendale Correctional Institution, which is probably an hour south of Columbia. And that was definitely a unique experience for me, because I walking in there, like I understood what Mr. Cooner was saying. I could not really tell that he was telling me a lot of those guys in there were in there for life, or things such as murder things. But I also realized too that when he was in there, there's a lot of people like him too. I mean, not everyone, but there are a lot too that have been wrongfully convicted of crimes, and just the conditions that are in the prison. I mean, I've heard what they've been served in there, and the food is is really bad. It's like things like beef liver and overcooked cabbage and rice. It's about every meal, and especially during the coronavirus. The person that's close to me, he's diabetic, and I guess they had the kitchen closed, and they served him like peanut butter and 2 loaves of bread and a few crackers. That was his whole meal probably since the coronavirus came to the United States around February. So, and just getting to write letters to him and getting to visit him, that's kind of it's made me see what Mr. Cooner saw, I guess, in the Kairos prison ministry, and I guess the environment in there. And it's definitely a lot of people can probably disagree with me. Just inside that, visiting the prison, it was definitely a unique experience.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of Matthew 25, where Jesus says, "I was in prison and you visited me." Of course, the people say, "Well, when was that?" And he says, "Well, just as you did it to the least of these who are my brothers and sisters, you did it to me." So that's a wonderful ministry. I know one of the things that you and I had talked about a little bit is that, with this COVID season, there are some things that you can't do that you normally could. So I know there are people who have, through that ministry, gone and visited, prisoners, which obviously can't be done right now. And I even shared with you about how our district sometimes will send something out asking churches to send in like baked goods. And so this past time when that was sent out, before I could even forward that to the congregation, we got another email saying, never mind, because we can't send that kind of stuff right now due to the virus. Are there any things that you can think of? Certainly prayer is one, but are there any things you can think of for folks who want to support that ministry or support ministry with the prison population in general, that we can be doing given the limitations that COVID has placed on us?
Yeah, I definitely say I just pray for those in there. Is the family that can visit them on the weekends. They haven't really been able to do that since late March or early April. So, and especially one thing that I feel like Kairos would be good to do for prison systems too is that, at least, the person that I know that was close to that's in there now, that they actually tossed his case and the truth's coming out, that he didn't do it, but due to COVID-19, though, they still haven't been able to, do the whole process of, clearing the record. So he's almost served, like 2 years for a crime that he didn't do. But like I was just saying, like, he has a pretty good home life and he has a family to come back to. And a lot of these people in the prisons, they don't really have anyone to go to. So I guess maybe that could be the reason why they turned to violence and crime for that reason.
Yeah.
I feel like Kairos. So I feel like Kairos, that could be a good thing for them. Just, they do have someone. They know they can turn to God.
Do you know your friend who you mentioned, is he able to receive like letters right now, or what's that situation?
Yeah, he can receive letters and make phone calls. The weekends and sometimes the holidays they can meet face to face. But with the coronavirus, they kind of put a halt on that probably early in April.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just a thought, and we can talk more about this, not in the interview, but that maybe there's a way, if it's okay to share like his name and mailing address, that we could put that in the bulletin or somewhere and encourage people to send letters of encouragement and prayers his way. So just a thought, and we can talk more about that. But I would encourage anybody, if you are interested in that, and ways that you can support that, especially with us now moving towards meeting outdoors face to face. If you do have any questions or ideas or thoughts, and you see Mason, I'm sure Mason would be happy to share more about that with you, and look forward to the ways that we can try to support that population, who Jesus obviously said is very important. Anything else about that ministry you want to share while you've got the floor?
I believe that's I'm glad we're able to share and discuss it today. But yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone has about it, educate more about what the ministry is and ways I guess we can help those that are incarcerated.
Awesome. Well, I thank you, Mason, again, not only for sharing about what you've been doing with Isaac, but also for what you have been doing Isaac and what that's meant to him and for us as his family, getting to see somebody invest in him and pray for him and with him, and for sharing about Kairos ministry. And we'll look forward to seeing you this Sunday outside at Central.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. That was a great service last week.
Well,
Looking forward to the ones coming up.
Well, that's great. We'll look forward to it.